Hey guys, now that Alien Earth has aired its first 4 episodes, I thought it'd be a great time to jump in and give you my thoughts on the series so far. Now this review is going to be full of a lot of spoilers, so if you don't like any of that stuff or you haven't watched it already, do click off this video. But for everybody else, let's get into it. Unfortunately, this is going to be quite a negative review because straight up, I really am not enjoying this so far. Right from the off, it really does scream of fan fiction, starting with episode 1, where it feels like a copy and paste lift of the original scene from the Alien movie. It's the canteen scene, except for in this one, it's just full of exposition dialogue and really clunky with it too. And it's just so you're caught up straight away of what's going on in the world they've just created, all the little new bits they've added. And what have they added? Well, let's get into that. Why at the very start of the series is there opening text that comes across the screen saying there's like 3 different factions of androids? Wasn't it enough that we just had one? I mean, the fact that you've now got a cyborg and then you've got these hybrids, and I don't get the reason to put those in there. They don't give you a good story-based reason as to why they need all 3 in there. Instead of just having Weyland-Yutani, the single company, I thought before I watched this series that, yeah, they probably were going to have another company in there competing against Weyland-Yutani. That kind of makes sense. But there's about 4, 5 or 6 new companies in this, along with a bunch of different alien species outside the xenomorph, and also different androids as well. It feels like it's very overpopulated, and it's going to make the whole thing unnecessarily overcomplicated too. Now, some might call this world building, but I disagree. It just feels like it's just put in there right from the off, so that way this series has got a life beyond the first series. Sometimes that can be okay, but this feels like not really a story-based decision of where you want these characters to go, but really like a scheduling decision. Like, okay, if you want the series to last this long, then we need to have, you know, A to Z of things in it. Now, the story is supposed to be about the xenomorph, and then obviously you get things like how that xenomorph affects the world around it. But instead, it's really just about the android hybrids, which at first, in episode 1, I found that quite interesting. But the moment the children go into the android adult bodies, they become less and less and less interesting the further along we go. What I found a very strange choice, and it was even weird that this happened in the first episode, where we'd already just seen the children become these hybrids that they're now in adult bodies, being hailed as miracles of science, to then suddenly they're going on an away mission like they're superheroes. Had we sort of seen it go through a few episodes before we got to that point, I would have found that a lot more believable. But the fact that they show how they come about and then how they're suddenly now on board this crashed ship searching around, and very soon after that fighting the xenomorph, that bit was very strange and it really took me out of it. And when I said fan fiction, this is exactly my point. I feel like the only reason we have an android hybrid named Wendy is just so the writer, Noah Hawley, I believe he must have been a fan of Alien Resurrection, because it feels like they're doing a recreation of the Ripley clone from Alien Resurrection. I mean, think about it. Wendy is someone with extraordinary physical abilities, but also is now showing a connection to the xenomorph, just like the Ripley clone. If it's not become obvious already, yes, I'm not a big fan of Alien Resurrection. It's one of those films that really felt like it was straying too far from the original source material. And this is exactly what this feels like. It feels like it's going off in new directions that I really don't want it to go. Unfortunately, the show feels very aimless, and it feels like it just weaves scenes together just so it can follow like a roadmap laid out by the writer of different points from the original movies, different scenes that he wants to show and recreate here in this one. Let's just run through some of these scenes that the writer recreates that are from the original movies. Now, I'd already pointed out at the very start of episode 1 where they recreate a part of Alien, but it doesn't just stop there. They recreate a version of Aliens where you have the Marines who are in an armoured vehicle going off to fight a battle, which seems like, even though this is a rescue mission. They even do a bit where the soldier's walking through the crashed ship and the other soldier that's with him puts his hand on his shoulder, thus making the other guy jump, just like Hicks did in Aliens. When I started to see things like that, it really gave me a bad feeling. It reminded me of Alien Predator Requiem, because that film does the exact same thing. Very fan fiction-y, just recreating parts from the original movies. Some more examples of this. Remember where you had Ripley in Aliens go and save Newt, and Newt is all like strung up to the wall and she's there to be impregnated by the eggs. They recreate the same thing with Wendy and her brother, except in this one, the brother's just been taken there. There's no eggs around that I remember, and he's just put there for being put there's sake. We also have in one of the later episodes, I think it was episode 3, where Wendy has got a hold of the alien and she's trying to pull it and lure it into a room with a door where they can shut the door. And she actually shouts, I mean, I rolled my eyes when she did it. She actually shouts, "Get the door, get the door," just like Ripley did in Alien 3. And those are the ones I just noticed. I'm sure you'd find more of them if you went through it with a fine-tooth comb. When I watch some series that are follow-ons from movie franchises, it's really nice when those series have a very movie quality to them. But in this, it feels like a really typical TV series with some of the acting and some of the pacing as well. The pacing in the first episode is okay, it's not too bad, but all the episodes that follow are really quite slow and they're very forgettable. There's not a lot that happens in them. So much so that I found myself watching some of these episodes more than once because I actually kept falling asleep. And if you think about it, we've now had 4 hours of story and we really haven't explored much in that time. What I found a very strange choice, and it was even weirder that this happened in the first episode, where we'd already just seen the children become these hybrids that they're now in adult bodies, being hailed as miracles of science, to then suddenly they're going on an away mission like they're superheroes. Had we sort of seen it go through a few episodes before we got to that point, I would have found that a lot more believable. But the fact that they show how they come about and then how they're suddenly now on board this crashed ship searching around and very soon after that fighting the xenomorph, that bit was very strange and it really took me out of it. Another thing that made me scratch my head is how suddenly Wendy develops this ability to somehow hear the xenomorphs. Now, maybe there was a drop line, I must have missed it, but I really didn't get that. And also, why is it that she can hear the xenos and all the other children can't? Because they are essentially gone through the exact same process that she did. Maybe they might introduce that later, and maybe they can, but it just really screamed of poor writing. Let's move on to the design of the xenomorph, which is very clearly inspired from the Xeno from Alien 3. The puppet they use is actually pretty good. I really did like it when I first saw it, but there is something you notice straight away, and I did hear this from someone else's review, that he looks very dry, and they really have got a point, because all that gooiness that was added to the aliens in previous versions, that really adds life to the monster. Take that away and it starts to look a little bit more puppety, a bit more robotic. Also, I feel like the creative team don't really know how to use the alien in order to create a scare and build tension. There's never like a tension moment before the alien shows up. It feels more like the AVP style, where he just comes in, does his kills and comes back out again. If I can say any positives, I think the first episode was the best one, although it made some really strange decisions of how it got characters into certain places. The fact that we had a crashed spaceship and everyone was going on board looking for survivors, that bit was at least somewhat interesting. And the performances by most people were actually pretty good. It's just that I didn't like what they did with the characters. And I'll echo what most people say, in that one standout performance, I do share the same opinion, and that is Timothy Oliphant's Kirsch is very good. He gives a great performance. I like his character, and he could so easily fit into any of the other Alien films, and he would feel like he belonged there. So that's my short and unfortunately quite ranty review of episodes 1 to 4 of Alien Earth. I did want to like this. I didn't go in with any real expectations or hopes, but just what I saw in front of me, I really didn't like. And I'm not against Disney's Aliens. I actually really liked Alien Romulus. Yeah, they did callbacks in that one, but two things they got right: they knew how to do the horror and they told a good story. Something that was very lacking here. Now, I know I didn't go into detail into each episode because, to be honest, there's not really that much to each episode. So I thought it was best just to give an overall feeling towards it. I don't really see how episodes 5 to 8 can really turn this around, but I will watch and I'll review it when we finish the series. As always, guys, if you like the content, do press like and subscribe. And of course, you can check out my other playlists, which include other movie reviews, movie rankings, movie locations and movie attractions, and of course more content to come in the future. As always, guys, thank you again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.